Hey there everyone, this is Michael coming at you again. It's a lovely December afternoon and it's not too cold, a little bit windy but not as bad as last time, so I figured I'd come do a video outside. So I was thinking about my next video and realized I hadn't really introduced you to the Jeep yet. Those of you who followed me on Instagram and know me in real life, well, this is real life anyway, you've probably seen the Jeep before. Suddenly it gets windy. It's always right when you want to do something that it gets windy. So, this is Pegasus. Viewers, Pegasus viewers. I thought about it and I was going to do a walkthrough video, but I figured everyone does a walkthrough video and there's always some things that everybody does, and I didn't. Alrighty then. There are things that everyone does, and I felt like I didn't want to do a 35-minute long video of just, oh, this does this, this does that. So I thought I would do a video where I go over the things that I feel are most important. So I figured we'd do a video on the dual battery system. I feel like it was a good investment. It's something that I'd recommend to others. But I figured we'd go over, what reasons do you need to install a dual battery system, and just sort of go over the parts of it and things that I did differently, because the kit that I bought came with pretty much everything that you need to install the dual battery system, minus of course a second battery. A lot of the parts I actually didn't even use because I had my own parts that I substituted in. So I guess we'll start with, what reasons do you need to actually install a dual battery system? I feel like the biggest reason is redundancy. Especially out here, we go through batteries like it's nobody's business because it's so hot most of the time. And actually a couple weeks after I installed the dual battery system, I found that my primary battery was actually too weak to start the Jeep. So that's probably the biggest reason, is redundancy. You have to kind of ask yourself, how do I make this vehicle more reliable? And there's actually a funny story behind that, which actually goes all the way back to 2013. I was volunteering at Overland Expo up in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I was, camping out with a group of guys, and they had all left to do their one of their shifts, and I was still at camp. I had music going from the Jeep, and having a good old time, cleaning dishes, getting camp sort of wow, it is a little bit colder out here than I thought. Getting camp kind of tucked away for the day, and my music stopped, and I looked over and tried to start the Jeep, and nothing. It wouldn't even click the starter. And at that point I was pretty sure that I needed a dual battery system. The only thing that I could actually even do was use the lights inside. I couldn't even get the instrument panel to come up. So that was the point when I decided that I needed a dual battery system. I think that is the best reason to get one, is for redundancy. Just to make sure that you can get yourself home. There are other reasons. For example, I've got two amplifiers in the Jeep. One that runs the door speakers and one that runs the subwoofer, and those both run off of the auxiliary battery. I also have some lights like the rock lights that are underneath the Jeep, and those also run off of the second battery. So let's go ahead and look under the hood, and I'll show you the different parts that are there, and we'll go over the different parts it comes with, and so on and so forth. Alright, here we are out in the engine bay of the Jeep. As you can see, it's got some good dirt going on. I gotta clean it one of these days. As you can see, we only have one battery in this section of the Jeep. Now, the reason for that is because the other battery is actually in the back. There's a sort of a hide hole where the stock spare tire normally goes, and that's where the second battery is housed now. With oversized tires, you can't really fit the spare back there anymore. So, a couple things that it comes with, of course, you've got the solenoid, which is hidden way back in here, which you can actually see there. And of course your fuse, which runs to the control panel, it's in the Jeep. We'll go over that in a second. And then normally it comes with a really dinky fuse holder, which I went ahead and replaced with this guy, which is a little bit beefier. You know, it's a little bit more weatherproof. I apologize for my goofy wiring because I'm not the best at wiring yet. But what I did is the kit that I bought, which is T-Max, which is a Weston brand, the same company who makes like the Safari bars and Pro bars. The kit that they have includes about 10 feet of 6-gauge wire, and normally if you were putting one battery next to the other, that would probably be just fine. But since it's going such a long ways, all the way to the back of the Jeep, I figured I would bump it up to 0-gauge wire, and that's what we have running the entire way. And you've got two 250 amp fuses, one right at this battery, and then one at the back battery, which I'm actually not going to show because I need to clean it up. Yeah, I store some other things in there, and I need to go through and reorganize that. There's nothing really back there anyway except for the battery itself. It comes in right here, and it jumps down, and it runs along the unibody rail all the way back to the spare tire where it jumps in through a grommet and connects to the other battery. One of the other things that I really like about this this particular setup, this isolated setup, is that unlike the more simpler isolated setups, this one charges the primary battery first before it links to the secondary battery. So whenever the vehicle's running, on the simpler ones, whenever the vehicle's running, both batteries are linked. With this one, it'll wait until this hits like 12.6 volts, and then it will link the other battery and charge it, which is really nice. Another nice thing about having the intelligent setup, where you have a control panel that actually runs everything, is you can charge from either battery. One of the things I was considering before was actually installing a solar panel on the other battery, and you can do that. It even says in the instruction manual, by all means go ahead and do that, because it will charge that battery first and then charge your engine battery. It also works really well with just a normal battery charger plugged into the wall, you know. You can charge your engine battery first. So I need to clean those terminals. I get off the track here. You can charge your primary battery first, and then it'll still link and charge the other one. So let's go ahead and get in the Jeep here, and I'll show you the control panel. It's also kind of a mess in here. I've been working on cleaning this up. So of course, here we are in the Jeep, and down by my foot here, we've got the actual T-Max control panel. And this gives you a couple of different things that it shows you. You can hit display here, and it'll show you where your batteries are at. As you can see, I need to charge my primary battery. You can also force link the two, just like that. It's already linked. You can see where on both there it's manually linked, but it also shows that it's linked. Normally what it'll actually show you, and I'll go ahead and unlink those, is when it's linked, just that one light comes on, and it also shows your alternator charge, which is pretty useful. I've also checked this with a voltmeter versus, I've compared this to a voltmeter connected directly to the batteries, and it is accurate, which is pretty nice. So it's, it does its job pretty well. The only problem that I had with this unit right here is there's no mounting anything, and there's no screw holes or screws included or anything. You pretty much just have to get some sort of a double stick tape and just stick it in place, which for some people might be kind of a turn off, but it does its job. So and it stays out of the way right here. You can see it's kind of really close to the seat, but it doesn't contact anything. I can still move my seat forward and backward with no problems. So that's the basis of that. Part of the reason I hold the dual battery setup in such a high regard is because unlike a lot of the other modifications we make, which only pay for themselves when you go off-road, the dual battery system pays for itself just when you're driving. Like I said before, I've had a couple times where my primary battery just dies because it gets so hot. In the summertime, underneath the hood you could almost say it's like a slow cooker because it's just constantly hot. It doesn't get a chance to cool down. So it's something that really pays for itself in a very short time span. Another nice thing is it gets you a second battery that if you want, you can rotate the two out back and forth. In a normal setup, like if I had the 4-liter straight 6, I could hold both batteries in the engine bay. That wouldn't really make much of a difference because they're both getting hot and cooling down together. In this case, it does, it could prove to be a benefit, but I've never actually needed to switch them back and forth like that. So, it's very convenient for the sense that if you needed to, you can also jump a vehicle from either battery. You just link them together and it'll do the job from either side. It gives you a whole nother battery, which is great if you have a winch. Obviously I don't. Eventually I'd like to have a winch, and that kind of prepares me for that. I'd like to have more lights, things like that. I'm a little bit more prepared for it just because I have the second battery that I can link off of. So that's going to be part one, I think, is the dual battery setup. We'll do some more walkthroughs. I figured instead of doing one huge, long, stringy video, we'd just do a couple small ones on the different things that are important. So the next one will probably be the suspension, and then we'll go from there. So for now, that's Michael signing off, and I'll talk to you later.